Good morning and welcome to Spectacle on Television Nigeria today, your foremost social, political, and economic program on TVN. This morning, we'll still be beaming our satellite on the tussles between the NGF, the Nigerian Governors Forum, and Mr. President as regard the function given to the Nfiu, the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit. Also, the analysts in the studio will also be looking at the tribunal cases, the presidential tribunal case between the presidential candidate of the PDP and that of the APC. We'll have a look and I will beam our periscope into it. Thank you and welcome as you follow us. This morning, by my right is the barrister Joseph Amedu. Barrister Joseph Amedu is a civil and public legal practitioner. He will be looking at that tribunal case. And by my left here is a civil rights activist, a fire rights activist, and a political and public affairs commentator, Mr. Silvanus Okwe. Welcome to the studio first, Barrister.
Thanks for having me.
Welcome to Spectacle.
It's my pleasure to be here.
Now, I will begin with you. Of recent, we had a program here about the local government financial autonomy, and you opined that the government should also, give what we call a local government political autonomy. While we dwelled on that, another tussle, came up yesterday. That very statement that you hint upon, you said you saw legal technicalities and hitches or tussles that might emanate from the policy that Mr. President have just given the directive to the NFIU to oversee the joint account between states and local government. Now, what do you think the Nigerian Governors Forum is all about this time?
I made it clear that the governors will fight back. And to make it clear, I stated that this could have been better and more far-reaching if the policy was rooted in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Because what the Governors Forum, what they are saying now, in essence, is that it does not have constitutional backing. The policy of the financial autonomy proposed by President Muhammad Buhari, which has been lauded by patriotic Nigerians, which is one of the best policies of this administration, which is scheduled.
And it's supposed to be one of the best policies to be acceptable by the generality, including the governors.
Yes, yes. And which is scheduled to start by 1st of June. Yeah, so the issue now is that the Nigerian Governors Forum are not satisfied with, like they referred to the NFIU, a meddlesome interloper. Taking the food off their mouth.
That is the legal technicality we're talking about.
The NFIU is not recognized by the law. That policies are linked to our constitution now, regarding the expenditure of the funds that go to the account of the local government councils. I made a constitutional, laborious research on it, and I stated some constitutional provisions here the last time.
Yeah, good.
Back in the...
All right, let me come. Barrister, you were actually supposed to talk about the tribunal verdict and the tussles at the, what do you call it? This is the appellant court between Mr. President and the candidate of the PDP, Mr. Atiku. Now, I just want you to digress from your topic this morning and the action of Mr. President, mandating or directing the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit to oversee the joint account of between states and local government. Do you think the president have that power without any legal or technical constitutional hitches?
Thank you for that question.
Thank you, sir.
As far as I'm concerned, the directive of Mr. President is nothing but an executive order.
Good.
It's just an executive. It's just an executive order, and such order cannot, since it's not backed up by laws, it's amount to exercising futility. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
So an executive order is not recognized even as the executive arm is.
Yeah, it's not. It's just an executive. It's not recognized. That thing, it can be set aside anytime. It's just his directive is nothing but just an executive order. It has no backing of the law.
But he has given directive to the NFIU to begin from 1st of June. So it means there will be challengers at the court of law.
Of course, and we are waiting.
In your own opinion, do you see that policy as vibrant, genuine, people-oriented?
Yeah, to me, I think that is one of the best policies so far in this administration.
And what would you advise the Governors Forum?
Well, my advice is that if they truly have the people at heart, the people they govern, if they have them at heart, they should allow the policy to go on. Because local government is the grassroots, is the government nearer to the people, the nearest government to the grassroots.
Yeah.
Do you get me?
Yeah.
The nearest government to the grassroots. If the president has said that, okay, look, I need financial autonomy to local governments
to develop
for speedy development.
Yeah.
It's a welcome development to me, and they should allow that.
The governors should allow that
to continue.
Now, thank you very much, Barrister Amedu. There is one point I want us to look at. That is the perspective of the unity, the sudden unity among the Nigerian Governors Forum. The 36 state governors came out yesterday, regardless of party affiliation, and then they want to resist this policy. What would you say about it? The first time we are having a APC, PDP, ABGA, what have you, coming together to form a synergy. Is it a synergy of corruption or synergy of what? Please.
It's a garden of scavengers, if I'm not mistaken, because I spoke with a friend. The only way we have party dichotomy is during elections.
Yeah.
It is only the people, the electorates, that carry it on, even into the administration. We fight ourselves on the social media. When it comes to an issue of political interest, they come to you. They know how to resolve their differences.
That is our principles.
They know how to resolve their differences. different. Look at how the taxis governors,
Politicians.
The politicians,
look at how
they are
look at how the
governmental
governors
principles.
came together from the enclaves of party affiliations.
Yes.
Look at how they came together from the differences of, that we just witnessed in the just concluded election, from the media hogwash.
And they
came together to successfully stage a unanimous, a formidable war
and the chairman
against
of
the
the
policy
forum,
that will benefit the generality of the people, that will go that will go a long way in speedily developing Nigeria, bringing us out of this infrastructural decay that this country has witnessed in ages.
Since 1960.
The synergy of the governors cannot be described in any terms that will describe it more appropriately than the gathering of scavengers. They are here again to continue looting the local government funds, to continue infusing that in their administration. Look at the security vote that goes to them. Where is it? What do they do with it? How is it expended? Is there accountability in our government system? Is there accountability? Is there performance? Is there transparency?
So you are saying that the governors are actually doing this because of their private
The
enterprises?
governors they have never welcomed any avenue that will allow accountability in government and local government development, especially. If you look at it from the start, that native ordinance of 1916 that instituted local government in Nigeria, the main essence of local government is speedy development of the grassroots. They were established to liaise with the native authorities.
Like we have in the first world countries.
Yes, so that for the effectiveness of indirect rule. In section 7, subsection 2 of the 1999 Constitution, the functions of the local government is to organize the grassroots, develop them, bring them to the mainstream politics.
That is basic amenities, social amenities,
hospitals, collect rates, but the state governments have always enveloped them.
So emphatically,
they have not allowed them to try. The local government has just become a mere appendage of the state.
Emphatically, you are saying that the governors are responsible for the underdevelopment of
they are responsible for the infrastructural decay in our rural areas, which is the function of the local government, but they have not allowed them, giving them the wherewithal to perform. They have always enveloped them. They have not allowed them to work on their own.
All right, I will come back to you again. That should be on it now on the issue of this NGF and Nfiu. However, we'll have to look at another tussle in today's program, because within the week, these were the programs that we did here on Spectacle, and suddenly they are coming back, they are trending. And if they are trending, it is our duty to set agenda for the government and also the populace. Now, Barrister Amedu, yesterday, just like we anticipated, or we presumed from here the other day, the tribunal case between Atiku and President Buhari, we had PDP saying that the moral aspect of Justice Zainab Bukachua, that she should step aside from doing her legitimate and constitutional duty. What would you have to say about that?
Yes, to me, in my opinion, the legal counsel representing Atiku and the PDP, to me, they are right. Because as it is like this.
You say they are right?
You're right. Because as it is like this.
If you say they are right, does it mean that morality is a thing of the Constitution as regards
It's not a thing of the Constitution. We are talking about somebody presiding over a matter in which her husband is also a party. Her husband is the chieftain of APC and the senator-elect from Bauchi State. Yes. So the moral burden is on her to recuse herself from the trial.
The moral burden, is it part of your legal
Yes,
you know, body?
it's part of it.
Is it
Like personally, there was a time I was at Supreme Court, and the issue of this Al Mustafa matter came up. There was a judge. The man is from Enugu State, one justice from Enugu State. He once presided over that matter at the appeal level in Lagos. And when the matter came, he said, look, this is the issue. If you could remember, I once presided over this matter when I was at appeal court, Lagos Division. And for that reason, he stepped aside. So as it is like this now, aside being, okay, like, let's say, for instance, if Bokachua decided to preside over this matter, you know what will happen? Even if the matter goes the PDP way, the APC will not be satisfied because they will say that this matter went the PDP way because the PDP mounted so much pressure on Justice Zainab Bokachua. Same thing, if it goes the way of APC, the same thing will be applied. So if I were Zainab Bokachua, what I would have done is, first of all, step aside and allow another judge to take over. Because the last time this matter came up for hearing, this issue was brought up. And Dr. Levi Uzoku SEM, the lead counsel of Atiku, alongside Krisuchi, brought up the issue. And she advised them to go and come formally by way of motion. The motion was filed last week, and that same motion will be ripe for hearing on the 22nd of this month. I think probably today is 20th. Okay, by Wednesday.
Now, if the issue of morality is part of your etiquette as lawyers or judges, is it because of confidence issue to repose confidence on her as the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court?
Yes, confidence issue to resolve issue of a conflict of interest.
Now, if you're talking about issue of confidence, is her oath of office sworn upon taking that same office? The oath of office constitutionally sworn, to be upheld and to serve this country with all integrity. Is that not enough?
We are not talking about oath of office. We are talking about the moral body.
Okay, if you're talking about the moral body, let me ask you this question, Barrister. If you're talking about the moral body of her personality as regard, because her husband is a senator-elect and a chieftain of the PDP.
No,
do we,
APC.
Of APC. Do we now begin from there to say that this is part of a welcoming idea to sanitize our judiciary? Then PDP, APC will also say every aspect, every judge or all judges or lawyers connected to PDP in any way or in any guise should not preside over matter. Isn't that?
They are not saying, they are not saying that they shouldn't preside over any matter. Any matter that concerns that the judge has conflict of interest, such judge should, as a matter of morality.
But she has not said she has conflict of interest.
No, let me tell you something. Any matter that has to do with PDP, Justice Odili, has never presided over that.
That is an example.
That is an example. And we are expecting her to toe the same line.
No. But constitutionally, she's supposed. You will chip in. Let me get something right. Constitutionally, she's there. She's the supreme. The president of the Court of Appeal. Yes. She's the president of the Court of Appeal, and statutorily and constitutionally, she's bound to perform her duty, regardless of any kind of affiliation, interest, or whatsoever.
That's not the law.
So,
she's not mandatory for her to preside.
But you said she must not preside anyway. But you are talking about to repose confidence on her, isn't it? Now, confidence and morality.
You are not talking about. We're talking about morality, the body. The moral body is okay. Like now, for instance, now. I'm giving an instance now. Assuming you're a judge, let's just assume. Okay. And a matter that has to do with your brother, comes up before you. Can you preside over that matter
is the president
without any sentimental attachment?
Well,
Let me chip in.
well, I think you may have a point, but the view I'm viewing it is that asking her to step aside is like telling her not to do her constitutional duty or to carry out her constitutional responsibility. That in itself is lawlessness. You are telling her to commit an act of lawlessness because the morality issue is not in the constitution. What do you have to say about that?
You know, my barrister in the studio is an excellent lawyer who tried to bring it up under a moral obligation, but then it still has more to do with the Constitution. Okay. If you look at section 36, the section that deals with fair hearing, fair hearing is when you give an accused the opportunity to be heard before convicting the person or setting the person free, before judging any case or giving a decision on any matter, you give the person the opportunity to be heard. It was built on two pillars, two strong pillars. We call it our alteram patem and nemo judice in casua. Nemo judice in casua is that you cannot be a judge in your own case. Somebody, legally, I mean the law of matrimony, somebody is married to another person. Two of them, the both of them are now one. You don't expect a wife to give decisions in a case that will affect her own husband. But let me come from the constitutional angle. Yes. When a case has to do with bad faith, for a case to be lauded, a judge said it, that justice must not just be done, but must be manifestly seen to be done, to have been done. And for justice to be seen to have been done, that person must repose confidence in the judge that is presiding over the matter. In law, if an applicant, a petitioner, or even a respondent, or an accused says he or she does not have confidence in any judge, the judge is bound to step aside, whether you are the president of the Court of Appeal or you are the Chief Justice of Nigeria, because the essence of judges, you being on that temple of justice, excuse me, the essence of you being on that temple of justice is for justice to be done and not your personal expertise or law. You understand? So Justice Bukachua, except she has something she doesn't want the world to know. But I believe that President Buhari is a very good person who we all believe have won the elections. And for the right things to be done so that this country will move smoothly, let Bukachua step aside. Because legally, if an applicant or a party to a case says he doesn't have confidence in the judge is bound to resign.
All right,
that's my training.
Thank you, civil rights activists. You are stepping aside. Who will take over from
in addition to what he just said, the issue on ground is not about not allowing the PTP to be heard. The issue is about who to preside over the matter. They are not saying PDP will not be heard. Do you get what I'm trying to tell you? So the issue of representation or fair hearing shouldn't come here. We are talking about who will preside. Whether Justice Bukachua
But constitutionally, who is supposed to preside?
Constitution, the composition of the court is there in our constitution. When it comes to matter of interpretation
in the
of the
appeal
Constitution,
court, in the appeal
Bukachua
court.
can even appoint somebody to preside.
Hold on, I asked him, the barrister, a question. Constitutionally, in that court where she is the president, who is supposed to preside over cases in that court?
When it comes to issue of this presidential tribunal, the composition of the court has to be five justices, because in most cases, the judges, when they are writing their ruling.
You have not answered my question.
Wait, I'm going towards that place. Allow me to learn. You ask the composition who's supposed to preside over this, and I'm telling you that a single judge cannot preside over an election matters. Okay. It's a composition. Okay. And the composition, if it is a constitutional matter like this now, it has to be, there must be 5 justices. Because sometimes at a point, so that the justice will not, the ruling they normally give ruling by voting. Okay. If 3 gives ruling against
the jurists now.
Yes, against the 2, the person that has the highest ruling wins. And that is why they make sure that the number is always in the odd, it's not even.
Not even.
Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Five, odd of five.
Yes. So as it is now, the composition now is 5. If she cannot preside over, by virtue of his office as the President Court of Appeal, she is supposed to be the chairman of the tribunal. But now, because of her husband, who is also party, a member of a political party that is joined in this suit, what she should have done is to just step aside, appoint another person to take over. Then the second most senior justice in the Court of Appeal will now assume the chairmanship of the panel.
Okay. And she wouldn't be part of the panel at all.
She will not. She will not.
And that is the moral assignment, before her now.
Not even moral, legal.
That is just it.
Legal.
All right. Stay with us. After this time out, we will be back shortly.
The question of leadership is a factor in this regard to the success of the fight against the Boko Haram terrorists. And then you look at also the factor of morale.
For almost a decade, the Nigerian army have given their all to ensure that our dear country is not overrun by Boko Haram insurgents. Some have in the process paid the ultimate price, while many will forever live with indelible scars occasioned by their determination to protect the country, no matter the hurdle. Despite these, they have remained resolute and undaunted, and today, all territories the insurgents once took control of have been recaptured and normalcy restored. And now, for the first time in a long time, the end of Boko Haram is foreseeable. Therefore, the wisest thing for the remaining insurgents to do is to surrender today or face total destruction from the army. Remember, the Nigerian army will stop at nothing to ensure that total peace is restored in all parts of the country. So, be wise and embrace peace today or get ready to be ruthlessly dealt with. This message is brought to you by the Coalition on Conflict Resolution and Human Rights in Nigeria. For almost a decade, the Nigerian army have given their all to ensure that our dear country is not overrun by Boko Haram insurgents. Some have in the process paid the ultimate price, while many will forever live with indelible scars occasioned by their determination to protect the country, no matter the hurdle. Despite these, they have remained resolute and undaunted, and today, all territories the insurgents once took control of have been recaptured and normalcy restored. And now, for the first time in a long time, the end of Boko Haram is foreseeable. Therefore, the wisest thing for the remaining insurgents to do is to surrender today or face total destruction from the army. Remember, the Nigerian army will stop.
Now, welcome back to Spectacle. We're still dealing on the topic of the NGF, the tussles between the NGF, the Nigerian Governors Forum, and the Nfiu, the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit, assigned to oversee the joint account of state and local government in this country. Now, I have with me again, still with me, Mr. Silvanus Okwe, a civil rights activist, a far-right civil rights activist and a political and public analyst. Mr. Silvanus, I want us to nail something, and I also have with me Barrister Amedu Joseph Antono, is a public and civil rights practitioner. Now, let me get back to you again. What agenda, as a far right activist, I believe you are a proponent of good governance. You are not a leftist. You understand? What would you, which agenda would you set in this policy for the governors? Set agenda for them to follow, because this, I don't know whether democracy get things done.
The governors, what they have just done is to confirm the doubt of many of us that they are solely responsible for the underdevelopment of Nigeria, for the infrastructural decay of the grass, especially the grassroots, the rural areas, that they have made it impossible for the local government councils to thrive. Because we do not see reasons. Monies come to the coffers of the state government monthly. Security vote, Paris refund, all this, they are not accounted for. We don't know why the state governors will be so interested in the funds that come to the local government councils. And what is the interest of the masses in this political tussle between the state government and the presidency? What is the state governors putting into consideration? The yearnings and aspirations of the masses.
That is why we're here.
If the NFIU should supervise the funds that go to the local government, is it not a welcome development? Will that not curb corruption to a large extent? So if you put all these things together, we will still continue appealing to the governors to see public offices as a call to service, as a call to better the lives of the people, and not an avenue to amass wealth, not an avenue to misappropriate wealth, because posterity will frown when the names of these governors who took part in that decision, in that unholy decision, is mentioned. Posterity will shrug in disappointment. They will shake and shed tears in shame, rather than patting themselves in the back and being proud of their progenitors.
If you become a governor today, by virtue of your activism and what the ideology you support for good governance, accountability, stability, security, and so on, do you think you will adhere to this kind of policy?
This is the kind of policies that will endear me to government. If this kind of policies do not exist, I do not have a business going into power in the first place.
So
because we go to power to contribute to our quotas in the development of Nigeria, in the betterment of the people,
and not our personal
and not for our personal pockets. These governors, most of them in their states, there is crisis, there is insecurity.
Even the chairman of the NGL,
look at Zamfara. He stays in Abuja here, while people die in scores in Zamfara. There is no development in this place. In fact, these are states that are in pariah state. They don't have anything working. No good transport system. The farmers cannot even farm peacefully, but the governor is in Abuja fighting for local government funds when the state is on fire.
Anyway, thank you, Comrade Silvanus. Barrister, before we go out of the studio from this very program spectacle, I want to ask you one question. The judiciary under democracy, do you see this institution, because of the tussles of party affiliations and all those things that is happening now? Or do you see democracy and the judiciary working?
Yes. Yes, because you see, the judiciary, as they say, is the last hope, the common.
As they say, in quote.
It's the last hope of the common man. But over the years, we've seen the Tussle, like this present dispensation in particular. We've seen the tussle between the executive and the judiciary, trying to undermine the independence of the arms of government, which to me is not healthy for our democracy.
Could you give instances? If you said the government, the executive is trying to undermine the power, the independence of the judiciary.
Yes. Number one, the executive, they chooses. I mean, they chooses the court order.
Yeah.
You know, they cherry pick the court order they want to obey. Anyone that is not favorable to them, they don't obey. Anyone that is favorable to them, they obey. Wait, I'm coming.
Okay, you will have to give us emphatic, point or example of that kind of court order, because like we are broadcasting live from TVN, and sometimes it will not be look as if we are saying that the executive are trampling on the right, the independency of the judiciary.
Okay, take for instance now the issue of Dasuki. Dasuki has been granted bail by several courts, from from the Federal High Court to ECOWAS courts and the rest, but still he's still in detention. Secondly, this recent one, the Kano Emirates. Before the emir, the new emirate was created, there was a pending order restraining the government of Kano State from creating that emirate.
Five additional emirates.
But the man went ahead and created the emirate. The same man that when he was accused of taking bribe, the same man went to court. The court stopped the Kano State House of Assembly. He went to court asking the court to restrain Kano House of Assembly from investigating him.
He seeked for justice and never want to obey justice.
Yes. The issue of invasion of judges' house, that one is on the public domain, period. The judiciary is the only arms of government that has a self-cleansing mechanism. The NJJC, they are there. They have a self-cleansing mechanism.
Are you sure about that?
I'm very sure.
Okay,
because
now you hinted a point the other day we came on tribunal verdict, why the Supreme Court and the Appeal Court are not upholding verdict from election tribunal.
No, they are no. It's not as if they are no. They uphold the valid ones.
Okay.
Those ones that maybe because of one or other something, maybe because of either the proper something procedure was not followed and the rest. Those judgments normally, once it is reviewed, they normally set aside those judgments.
Okay.
So, but they've been upholding judgments
I don't want to
from the lower tribunal.
Yes.
You get?
Yes.
You've been upholding judgment from the lower tribunal down to this thing. So
now,
that
we
one
talk about self-cleansing mechanism.
Yes.
That the judiciary have this. And then last week you talk about is it pro bono case you talk about?
Yes, pro bono.
Pro bono, the SANS have to undertake.
No, you were saying that the common man, the common politician, they don't have the financial muscle to go to court. And now I'm saying that the problem with some of our politicians, I did say that the problem with some of our politicians, they like going for the big lawyers, the SCN, forgetting the fact that there are other lawyers who are not SCN and who are doing very, very well and who can handle their cases.
Now, the SANS, apart from the lawyers, the public lawyers and civil lawyers and so on, the SANS, do you think if you actually say that self-cleaning mechanism, self-cleansing mechanism, do you think they should be carrying out these pro bono cases often for the common man? Because if you go to the prisons and you see how common men
Sorry. Your question, the question you're asking does not have connection.
It has.
No, you are talking about pro bono, you are talking about self-cleansing in the judiciary. So what has pro bono?
Let me link it. The senior advocate are part of the judiciary, isn't it?
No.
They are part of
They belong to
they
the bar.
belong to the bar.
The judiciary belongs to the bench.
Yes, the judiciary belongs to the bench.
Yes.
While the SANS belong to
The
the bar.
lawyers, the private belong to the bar.
They belong to the
What
bar.
about you lawyers who belong to the bar?
We belong to the bar. We are different.
Okay.
Our work, our work ethics is different.
So it is you people that go outside to help people, not the SANS.
We are really into litigations and the rest.
SANS are also into litigation.
No, SANS are lawyers. SANS is just
only deals with the judiciary, which is the members of the bench, the judges,
and not the members of
the bar.
Yeah. The bar also, they have their own disciplinary committee. They have their own legal disciplinary committee, LPPDC.
The judges have their own.
And the judges, they have their own.
Now, how do they do this internal cleansing that seems not to be working in respect to public opinion?
It has been working.
Public policy.
It has been working, but you know that sometimes, the judiciary, they are not media frenzy organ of government. They are very, very, very conservative. When they do something, they don't come out, the media, and say the same. I know judges who have been dismissed on account of gross misconduct. So many judges.
But the media is
the widespread.
The media is the fourth estate of the realm of democracy.
If you look at the invasion of the judge's house and juxtapose with the corruption that stinks from that arm of government, you'll be tempted not to blame.
Don't just assume.
It's not an assumption.
Wait, it was evidently has it been proved?
Hold on, Mr. Ben. I know you are from the bench.
I will not sit here and allow you to rubbish
the sanctity
of the judiciary. No, it is not good.
No, we are not.
It has been established. No, I won't allow you to lie because I won't sit here and allow you to rubbish the sanctity of the judiciary.
But you said
it has not been established.
Good, but you said
it has not been established.
Your case of accusing the executive, for instance, was it established? You said that the executive sometimes campaigned on the independency of the judiciary.
Yes.
Was it established?
Yeah, it was established.
Because I discovered that anytime they talk about the judiciary, especially what they have found about you lawyers and senior advocates, you just come out a massive
even
and begin to challenge.
Femi Felana
you understand? Everybody
made mention of it the other day.
I want to.
It's now a supermarket.
Yes, I want. It's not a supermarket.
It's now a supermarket.
It's not a supermarket.
Where the highest bidder.
And Falana is a senior advocate of Nigeria.
If you look at some cases, I'm not in support of invading the judiciary or anything, but I'm in support of totally ridding it of corruption.
Of corruption and synergy for policies to work. Synergy with the executive and the legislative arm for policies like this to work. So what,
if
for instance,
policies to work, make it constitutional. Even if it's the best policy in this world, there is no way somebody will approach the court and the judges are looking at it that it's fair. It's not standing on anything. You don't expect them to uphold it.
Okay, that is
like
the
this
case
NFI, financial autonomy, it does not have constitutional background, and no judge will uphold it because it's a good policy. They don't deal with hypothetical questions. They don't
deal with facts and figures. Anyway, thank you for coming on this program and spectacle. Barrister, will you have one last word again before we call it a quit?
Yes, my last word is I'm looking forward to a day where the president of the country will be bold enough to send a bill guaranteeing the autonomy of local government. That bill too should also amend the part of the constitution that gives the state the right to conduct local government election. The local government election should be conducted by the National Electoral Body.
So you affirm the political autonomy too.
Yes.
You also affirm the political autonomy, financial autonomy, and your judiciary stuff today, the tribunal case, you advise that Bokachua should step aside on moral ground.
Yes.
Not constitutional ground.
No, it should just step aside to avoid suspicions of bias.
What if she refuses to step aside?
You also know what if you serve as president, and you know what that means. It has to be.
Even the judgment will not have general acceptability.
Yes, that's just it.
All right, guys. Thank you for coming to the program, Barrister Antonio.
Thank you for
having me. Thank you, civil rights activist Silvanus Okwe.
Thank you.
I'm so happy and glad with the analysis today. I believe that what the Nigerian Governors Forum should be looking at, the perspective they should be viewing now, is the populace, not their personal enterprises or franchise. We are not practicing fascism in this country. If the chief executive officer, the head of state and commander-in-chief have given executive order, what it is acceptable or would be admirable for the NGF to do is to work in synergy with the appropriate, arms of government, like the legislative arm and the executive arm and the judicial arm, to make sure that this policy of this financial autonomy is completely and explicitly granted to local government to function and develop speedily. It is painful, very, very painful from the aspect of analysis that since 1960, Nigeria is still lacking basic and common and social amenities. While we have governors flying abroad, governors, dealing with their private enterprises and franchises, it is uncalled for. Democracy is all about the people. It's a power of the people, for the people, and we have to do what? Give people-oriented policies a support and affirmative. Thank you this morning. I'm your host once again, Daniel Atai. Tomorrow we'll be coming on Spectacle. But if you have spectacular performance, scorecards and vision that you wish, you come to TVA, you meet us. The address is on your screen. You can contact us. Thank you and good morning.